We're building a Big Red Jeep project for my Trefny Honors project at Red Rocks Community College. Our sponsors are SuperLift, JBAOffroading, Truck Hero, KBOffroading, Amsoil, Tom's Wood Custom Drive Shafts, DUNESDAY Offroading. My name is Robert Schmidt.
And I'm Parker Brown from DUNESDAY Offroad. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is put bricks or a chuck behind the back tires to make sure the car doesn't roll, and put the car in park. Then we're going to go ahead and remove the both front wheels and put the frame on jack stands in the front, and obviously disconnect the negative battery terminal. Anytime you're working on a car, especially if you're going to be welding or using a plasma cutter, you always want to disconnect the negative battery terminal. One thing that we're going to use is a steering wheel anchor, and you can get these on Amazon for like 20 bucks. And all it does is it goes on the seat and it just pushes up on the steering wheel, so your steering wheel is locked in the center position. So while that is the PV blaster soaking with the threads, we're going to go ahead and take off the caliper. So there's 2 bolts that are, I believe, 14, and then there's 2 bolts that are 19. The first thing that I like to do is I like to take off the caliper and hang it up with bungee cords before I start disassembling the rest of the front right suspension. So first, there's 2 bolts right here and 2 bolts down there. These 2 on the inside are 21s, and this one right there and this one right here are 14s. There we go. Okay, so now that that's off, the caliper will break up into 2 pieces, and the brake pads, and then wrap it around. Let's go through here. Doesn't really matter how you hang it up there, as long as it's out of the way and it's not going to fall. And then you can just leave that like that. We're going to go ahead and take the axle nut off. What I'm going to do before I pop this out is I'm going to loosen the lower one, and I'm going to remove the sway bar bolts. And pop it with a hammer. Shoot out at you. One thing I don't want to do is melt the boot, so I'm going to try really hard just to heat up just the screw. Make sure there's nothing, no wires behind it. That would be a very bad day. Whew, that's a smelly one. There we go! Hey! Sometimes it helps to pull that out. See that screwdriver? There we go. So this guy's just rusted in there. And he broke. Really? Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we got to take the strut assembly off, take the lower control arm off, and take the CV axle off. So first thing we're going to do is loosen all the bolts while everything's still attached and sturdy, so we can give it a good hit with a hammer. So The lower control arm is held on by a bolt inside here, right on this side of the arm, and then 2 bolts underneath right there. So first we're going to get those a little bit loose. There we go. So now what we're going to do is the last bolt right here. That bolt pops right out, and now your whole lower control arm is free. So what's going to happen now is, since your lower control arm is free, we're going to take this strut assembly off, so then we can pop the CV axle out. Okay, so the next step, in order to take the strut assembly off, we're going to have to relocate the engine coolant reservoir on this side. On the other side, we'll get there in a little bit. We're going to have to relocate, just kind of not remove from the car completely, just loosen up and get out of the way so we can get to the 4 bolts that hold the coil, the strut assembly on the Jeep. So first, there's one little nut right here that you can just twist off with your fingers. And it's just a plastic little nut. Get that off. Okay, so now since we have that nut out, we're going to set that right there. Alright, so then your coolant reservoir is free. All that is attached is a hose right here, attaching to the bottom of the coolant reservoir. We're not going to mess with that for right now because it's a lot easier just to leave it. So let's see if we can set that just like that. And now you can see there's 4 bolts holding the coil. Okay, so now since we have the 4 bolts up top and this bolt on the bottom, the strut assembly is completely free. So before we pop the CV axle out, we're going to need to get this strut assembly out. There we go. You're going to fit. There we go. Since the strut's out, the sway bar is loose, steering's loose, everything's not connected. The lower control arm is all by itself now, so we're going to finish up those bolts that we had. There we go. Yeah, look at all that.
Alright guys, so we're here. We're going to be pulling the diff out so we can modify the cross member and update a couple things for the lift. And the main points of pulling the diff out, you have a mount right up here. You can't really see the frames in the way. But it's just one large bolt to 15 mil on one side, and for some reason we use a 3/4 on the other side. There's 3 of those main mounts. There's one on this side, one on the opposite side of the diff here. Yeah, and then there's another one here. And then you can just pull these 2 out instead of removing this mess here and having to lift it out. You can just pull it from here and drop it down. And then after you crack everything loose, you want to get a jack in here to hold it up so it doesn't fall down on you. And we're going to pull the drive shaft off. It's 4 15mm bolts. You can get in there with a couple extensions. You don't have to pull anything off. There's plenty of room. It's a little tight right here to get that top one, but if you can spin the drive shaft, you can get to it no problem. Next, we're going to have to pull this top diff mount out. You guys can see it. It's right here.
Now the bumper would be only like when you're messing with the steering.
She's just going to pull out this diff mount here, which is just these 2 bolts here and here. And then Kateri shows us all up. Thanks. So we're going to take this guy, which is this bolt here, which is going to be the same sizes as the one on the opposite side that we first took out. That's kind of hard to reach. It's going to be a 15 on this side and an 18 on this back side.
So you have one person holding the nut on this side, and then that bolt will twist.
It's alright.
Alright. You can move this out of your way too.
I think it's gonna have just the angle of the actual camera.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
So just make sure you're doing this part slow. This is pretty dangerous if you don't know what you're really doing.
The diff's not light.
Yeah,
Basically what we just got done doing, on your factory diff there's going to be a third bolt hole here that you have to remove. And you mark your line and you come in with a cutoff wheel. And then there's also the tab on the bottom corner here.
Okay, so this is the driver's side differential drop. So the L piece is going to go right in here like that with the bolt going through. Just get that kind of like that for right now. Then we're going to use the supplied spacer. So pull the bolt out a tiny bit until you can get it in there. It's going to be a tight fit. There we go. Then we're going to have to put one more in there.
We're just lifting the differential back in. Right now we're trying to do the lower mount.
There's two bolts, so we're going to get everything kind of just hand screwed in there so we can remove the jack.
Alright, we got that bolt through there.
So right here, we're going to put the bolt in this way because this side doesn't have much clearance. This side does. You can see the drive shaft is going to reconnect once we tighten this all down and raise it up.
Look, while they're out, these are those stupid pins, and they're locked in like that. So you pry it up so that this part can collapse as you pull it out. Yeah, there you go. All right. So I'll go ahead and pop the middles out, give her a little tugging.
All right, that's a bumper. What's up, guys? I just wanted to take a minute to talk about these JBA upper A-arms. These things are something special, and if you guys haven't heard about them, you should go check out their company.
The job of independent front suspension is you'll have your upper arm, your knuckle, and your lower control arm down here. And the lower control arm can pivot the same as this, and your knuckle sits here. And the reason why you have two pivoting points is so as the wheel travels up and down, you can keep this plane perfectly flat as these planes change.
Hey guys, this is our KBOffroading bumper. We're getting ready to throw it on. Basically what we're going to do over here is we're going to make some holes up here so that the bumper can mount. If you get the pod lights, you're going to have to install the pod lights and splice them with the fog lights that you have. And yeah.
Heat them up and they'll shrink down. Don't want to keep the lighter too still or else you'll melt it.
Wiring up the headlights. Well, we got the pods wired up. We're going to wire up these LEDs to the daytime running lights.
Wire tapping. So this will go on this wire. You put the wire from the bumper in here, you close it, and it'll actually tap into the wire. So you don't have to cut or splice anything. And that thing goes on top right there.
Again over here. There we go, right there.
Let's go in with it.
Alright guys, so we are at modifying the rear cross member. We're going to follow these steps. One thing we are going to be using is a plasma cutter. Parker knows how to plasma cut very well.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing that. You can use a grinder. We'll be showing what kind of grinder you
Cutoff
can use
wheel,
instead,
yeah.
or a cutoff wheel. Those will work well.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to drill straight up through the cross member. There's already a skid plate bolt hole right here that the skid plate bolt goes into. So we're going to use a drill bit that's a little bit smaller than that. Go right through the middle. Try to make it, I'm going to go to the side so I can make sure it's level. There we go. What we do now is we have to use this template. So as you can see, it has little arrows. And then we're going to poke out this little hole in the template with a screwdriver right in the middle. And just drop it right in there. Move this way and like right there.
Because that was a really good idea.
Sorry. No. So we still have to do the back side. Back here, I wanted to cut this part off just so I have a view of that, because with the exhaust pipe it's kind of hard to see, but you can kind of see this part is just going to sit right in there. You're going to have a bolt that goes through this into that bolt hole to hold it tight while you weld it on. I'm going to go cut the back now.
Alright, so with the upper A-arm, it's just these two bolts here. You just got to break them, pull them out, and then throw in the new upper A-arm. We are going to be installing the upper control arm here. This is Kateri. She's one of our
graduate students from Red Rock.
She's going to be installing this upper A-arm for JBA. Huge shout out to Mr. G-Man. These things are awesome. Compared to the old ones, it's insane.
The upper control arm mounts up right below this. So in the instructions, it says we're going to have to relocate the power distribution block.
We want to start doing this guy here. Parker taught me keep it straight. You want to tighten it and then just give it a pop, right?
Go in.
Go in.
You want to give it some, yeah, and then pop
just. So, drilling right through the center of this right here.
And it will help.
Alright guys, so we just popped this thing out of here. I was using this, and this ended up helping me rotate the little piece of plastic in there, as you can see. This is what we were dealing with. If you were not to get this out, this little piece of plastic right here, this is what would be in your hub. So it's like a pretty solid piece of plastic. Don't think that would be good. And just to double check that you got everything, take this hub and just rotate it, and you can actually see inside of it, and you can see what kind of black pieces of plastic are in there. This little part right here, it has a wire in it, and it goes down into the hub, and it actually counts how fast the teeth are going, and it'll tell you if your wheel is slipping, and that's for the anti-brake system. You'll just pull this out, this little clip in here, and then we'll throw in a new one.
So to mount this cross member up into here, you need to make a little bit of clearance this way. So right here, there's a little tab down here, a little L tab. You're going to want to trim that off. You want to be careful not to go into the factory welds though, because that is still supporting your vehicle. So we're just going to cut right along there all the way back, leave this, and we should be good. So give it a shot. You got to cut these off on both sides. Up, set it around in there. So this is usually flipped the other way, so we turned it 180 degrees, so this is going to mount to the bottom of that, and your bolts are going to go straight down the top. There you go.
We're so used to dealing with the rusty bolts.
Alright, so same kind of thing when you're going in. Get the teeth lined up, and there you go, that's it.
Wow. Parker got us some D-rings. Put it over the metal so they fold over, and then these are already like almost all the way into the hole. And then when you push them up, you don't get too hard on them.
Right there, that's...
Alright.
Pinch man.
So now we're going to get this sway bar link off, and then we're just going to pop it off.
This is our old one. Here's the new one. Step 15 tells you to go to diagram 6. So we're going to have you read this, and then we're going to go to diagram 6, which is over here. So our first time around, we tried to compress this, and then we tried to rebuild it, and that did not work. Every angle that we took kept on hitting these parts, and we also couldn't get the claws off.
So we're going to build it while it's on here, and then when it's all on here built, before we put the bolt in, we're going to actually, then we're going to compress it. So
after it's built. Parker just smacked this part off. Now we're going to get the spring off here. We're going to compress it.
We're going to put this like that.
There's one short side and one long side.
That one just fit right in.
Yeah. Alright, this part's going up. How far are you going?
Just a little bit.
Okay. Alright, and then you'll see how they lock on there. Now it's an extra safety precaution, and you should use it. So there's 4 bolts. Just gonna get them on there, and then we'll tighten them down with like oil. That's how you guys build the strut assembly. Now we're gonna bring it back in there once I think we're probably ready for that almost.
Almost, yeah. We just gotta make sure everything's straight. Everything got pushed back down. It's all lined up good, like that. So now this is the part, since it is kind of difficult getting that on, with this being lined up where it's supposed to be. We're gonna look for the small side, which is on this side, and we're gonna look, and our tab is not there, so we're gonna have to move it that way. Little mallet, just gentle tap.
Alright guys, so we got this part right here lined up with this part right here, and this is the small part of this.
I've broken bolts with that one before.
So we'll go and lift this into here. Got these wing nuts here, and we got to get these into the very back of this strut assembly on the top. And there, you'll see that screw spinning. We got to try to figure out how to get this wing nut onto that. You see it just sits up there, and that way when he twists the top of the bolt, that wing's going to catch on this wall here, and he's going to be able to tighten it without us having to get in there. So now we got this strut assembly in there. We're going to slide that axle in there. Alright. This literally just slid right in. I thought you were going to have to like really push it in there, but he just twisted it and it literally just went.
So this is how your knuckle's going on. So for this side,
just put your ABS sensor plug on the part that's going to be best for your fit. I'm going to come through with this. 3 bolts. 1, 2, 3. So we got the lower ball joint. We're putting that in down here. Parker's working on getting that axle shaft through here. And I'm just holding some weight.
Put this guy down.
The JBA upper A-arm. Throw this bolt on there. Hand tight in a little bit, and then it's going to take some of the weight also. Sway bar. We're going to throw this guy over here. Alright guys, sway bar, there's 1 bolt on the bottom, 1 bolt right here, and you just screw it in and you're good to rock and roll. The sway bar link goes in front of the sway bar. So what we're going to do, we're going to extend the brake line here, and then we're also going to be doing this ABS sensor. There we go.
Alright, so that's going to come right there. Now we have to bend the brake line to get it to come down. So we have a clip right here, like that. I'm going to just reinstalling the caliper like you would do on any brake job. But this thing you just set right in there. Once you get it to the right size, like that. Go to the pushing way, and then you just go like that, and it compresses them.
Parker's going to be extending the brake line here.
Cut the back off, and then just pops right out.
The brake line is now free.
Mount this like that. Have that brake line go behind there and kind of keep it stock like that. Like that. Mount on the back. Your mudguard, your fender well is going to come, so we're going to try to bend this a little bit up, but we're going to try to keep it as stock as possible. So we're just going to use our hand, kind of give it a little bend like that.
This is going to go in and down through there. We're going to lube it up real quick. Let's see if we can just shimmy this thing in here. Just drop it into that hole. Get it straight. The new clip came with one of these plastic clips on it. We're just going to clip these together. And bam, we heard a clip. And then we'll clip this guy up here. Smack it in there. That's all good. We're gonna lift the knuckle a little bit and get this old ABS out, and then that's the front side.
We're gonna be cutting a little tab back here. When you turn the wheel all the way to the right on this side and all the way to the left on that side, the knuckle is gonna hit it. That thing is where it's hitting the knuckle. You hand me that.
We got the front done. Now we're moving on to the back. We're gonna jack this thing up and get the tires off. We got one bolt up here, one bolt down here. It's super easy to take out. Yeah. There goes that. Alright. Bam! If you guys come from a rust state, you're going to be dealing with it. Good luck. There we go. We're going to be getting those coil springs out. We're going to be trying to do it without taking off the rotors, the calipers or anything. So we're going to take this guy out, lower control arm. You got one bolt up here, one bolt back here. Another one we have to cut off. Use a different bolt. We got our grinder. We are going to cut off this bolt, and that calls for that in the install manual. There's the old one. Parker's doing the brake line extension right now. Cherokee will show you that. I'm just tightening some bolts so we can do this a little faster.
I went ahead and I hammered in, just gently tapped in metal sleeve, and then I pushed this bolt through, put a washer and a nut in the back. Now I'm going to do the same up here. Just throw the bolt that we took off, and then we're going to have to drill out that hole right there on each side, and then we're going to have to drill out a hole right here. Happen through, and then use a washer and a nut on the back side.
We're going to remove that so that we can get a better angle. Drill a hole on the black right there. So we're drilling this back hole over here, so Cherokee going to bring it down and show you. We're trying to get into here so we can drill this back hole. What we did is we lowered the axle so the left side is lower than the right side, and then this hole is completely exposed. We're just going to drill into it, and then everything's going to be good. Put the bolt in there and we're good. Basically, we're just going to tighten up these bolts. We're getting to the end here. We're gonna get this spring in there. Parker's just getting the little spacer part in there, and you're gonna hook that up on. And then the old cone is gonna hook on the bottom of it. And it'll look like that.
We're just gonna slide this in.
What's up, guys? This is the Big Red Jeep project. I'm building this Jeep for my Trefny Honor Society at Red Rocks Community College. My name is Robert Schmidt. We've got a couple different sponsors that are helping us out. A huge shout out to Mr. McLaughlin for supplying us with the SuperLift, and Truck Hero for supplying us with the SuperLift. You guys will see how much taller our Jeep is. We got it installed. Big shout out to Carly from Amsoil. She supplied us, and Amsoil supplied us with all of our oil needs and a lot of our swag that we're going to be handing out on campus for our STEM Expo. Our JBAOffroads. Mr. G-Man, thank you so much. Big shout out to you also. We couldn't have done this without you guys. Right now we're looking at our KBOffroads bumper. Simu and Cosmo from KBOffroads. Thank you guys so much. Big shout out to DUNESDAY Off-Road. They're the ones that really made a lot of this actually possible. Wouldn't have been able to do it without Big Parker here. Parker, want to say hi? Hey. This is from DUNESDAY Off-Road. If you guys need any work done, any of our students, Parker's totally around. And installing the last part of our KBOffroads bumper. We wired these little wires back through these holes. So grab all three of them, see which one's the shortest. We're gonna sit here and we're gonna cut it right. So you go like this. Put the little black wire in there. Let it get grabbed by these tools. And then when you pull it up, separate,
and then it pops it off. All right, so we're doing red wire to this black wire to the other black wire. You guys might be using different wire here. We're basically gonna just twist these together, and then you wanna keep holding them, and then just solder it on there. So what I like to do on these wires is I like to unfret the bigger one, and then I'll take the smaller wires and lay them kind of with it. Yeah, if you're gonna be doing this for a long time, definitely be wearing a mask. We got our lights wired up. We're about to pop them on. Woo! You guys need a bumper for your Jeep WK, KBOffroads. In my opinion, it is the nicest looking one. It lines up right here. This lip back here sits here, and you can already see kind of the holes that we've made. We'll be drilling through there and then on that side. So we're gonna get these sides fastened on, and then we're gonna push that side on. We got these little plates, and it slides right in here. And you're gonna have to line up those holes, get that bumper on. So you guys can see that that plate's up there. Parker's getting that bolt up in there. Once you get it aligned, we're doing the rest of these. How you doing, Parker?
Doing good.
Nice. Here we go. We're gonna have Kateri drilling also. We'll have me drilling a little bit, Parker drilling. We got 2 plates that went inside, and then you had 2 bolts that went up and fastened that down. We're about to thread these through.
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna go like this. Go on through.
And this top is so close getting up this.
All right, guys, so we're just gonna go and tighten everything. That is the KBOffroad's bumper install. Boom! Look at that thing. What's up, guys? We are done with round 1 of our installs. We installed the 4-inch SuperLift, and we made a do-it-yourself video for you guys. We also included the KBOffroading install in that video, along with the JBAOffroading upper A-arms. We've got the Method Racing wheels over here with the KO2s on it. Parker Brown, thank you so much, and Alexa, thank you too. This Jeep is fully capable of taking on quite a bit, and I'm excited to test it out, and I can't wait to show you.